Well, tonight at the Aviva Stadium here in Dublin, Ireland have just about squeaked home against Australia, 13 points to 10. Certainly wasn't a classic, won't live long in the memory, but in that win, they have now equalled the record they set under Joe Schmidt 4 years ago of 12 consecutive home victories. Alan Quinlan, formerly of an Ireland international and ex-Australian international Drew Mitchell, were alongside me on commentary duty for Virgin Media this evening. So we've one very happy man and one very disappointed man. We'll start with the man who's a bit happier, Alan Quinlan. Look, we won't be writing stories about this game in years to come, but Ireland, in the last few months, they've got into that habit of winning. They find ways to dig out the win in different ways, and tonight was one where they really just had to see it through in the end. It wasn't a great performance.
No, it was scrappy. I think both sides kind of cancelled each other out, and they defended remarkably well. Both teams, it was very competitive. There was a little bit of edge and niggle to it. In the end, Ireland were really pleased. I think Ireland or Australia had an opportunity here with the maul. In the end, they were penalised. We're not really sure. When you see the pictures again, Jake Gordon entering the side of the maul, I thought it was harsh, but it was that type of game, wasn't it? Andy Farrell will be really pleased because they showed a lot of resilience and character. And Australia, I think when Bundy Aki scores a try, the crowd are thinking that's it, they'll get over the line, get the job done. They were on their feet, and then Pataya scores, and it's a nervy end to the game. But it was that type of game all the way through, that nobody had utter dominance. Ireland made 203 tackles, I think, and Australia 121 or 2 or something like that. So Ireland had a lot more tackling and defending to do. They missed mid-20s tackles as well. So it wasn't the best performance, but it was a real dogfight from the start and really competitive. But in the end, they'll be very, very relieved and pleased to get the result. And I think Australia will be disappointed. I think there'll be a few talking points. I hope we don't see any videos going online afterwards, but from the Aussies. But I think it was a poor game. We were all expecting and hoping for lots of attack. The conditions were quite okay. The ball was slippy for sure, but credit to both sets of players. Then when you don't get that free-flowing game, they were getting stuck into each other and maybe cancel each other out a little bit.
Well, Ireland are in that habit of winning. They also say losing's a habit, Drew, and that's 3 defeats in a row for Australia by a cumulative total of 5 points. They need to find a way to come out on the right side of those sort of games.
Yeah, look, it's about taking your moments. I felt like the Irish did that. There weren't too many opportunities for either side. But, I mean, for a man who wasn't even thinking he was going to be in the 23 to come in and step up in those final moments, rather, and kick a pretty tough goal from the sideline to get them in front, they're the moments that you need to take. And Wallabies, there was a disallowed try because of a neck roll. There was the charge down try that was brought back because they were under penalty advantage. There was a misconversion from Bernard Foley. So there was opportunities there for the Wallabies, but they just weren't able to convert all that pressure and that territory and possession that they had into points. So, look, it's disappointing for the Wallabies. There's also a hell of an injury ward there in the dressing room. Looks like Taniela Tupou might have done his Achilles, Valentini his ankle, Kellaway his foot, Parecki another head knock, Paisami a potential MCL as well. And then, of course,
that really unsettled them, didn't it?
Yeah,
all the changes, because they were hoping to be bringing on this power in the second half, and probably what you talk about, Drew, is that first half dominance where they had a lot of possession. Yeah. They just didn't get it on the scoreboard.
I mean, both teams had adversity. Losing Johnny Sexton in the warm-up to the Irish, they had to adjust. For us, it was more about adjusting in the moment, in the game, and unfortunately through a number of injuries. So you end up having your substitute half-back on the wing. So they're not excuses. There were still opportunities that they were creating. I guess the disappointing thing for the Wallabies is they weren't able to convert those. And again, we're looking at another fine margin, but another loss.
I want to get your thoughts, Alan, on Australia in a moment, and I'm going to get Drew's thoughts on Ireland, because on our show tonight, the guys were running a poll with their Virgin Media audience as to how far does the Irish rugby public believe we will go in next year's World Cup. Vast majority believe we're going to get into the quarter-final there, and then a significant number thought it was a semi-final place for grabs. Some even thought we could go on and win it. Now, we've been accused in the past, Drew, of getting ahead of ourselves. We just need to run the clock back 4 years when we were #1 in the world. We'd beaten the All Blacks and we'd won a Grand Slam in the Six Nations. Where do you see this Ireland team right now, having seen them up close and personal tonight?
Look, I'm really impressed by them. You're not number one in the world by mistake. You don't just trip into that position. They're really strong across the park. Their set piece is strong. Around the breakdown, they're immense. Their back row is huge, and they take opportunities when they're on offer. And when you've got an experienced fly half like Johnny Sexton steering them around, they're going to be even better moving forward. And the one thing you need to have is belief, and you get belief by being on a streak like 12 wins at home. Over the last 4 years or whatever it might be. But look, they've got genuine belief through experience. They just need to go in and do it on that stage now. They've got all the ingredients. It's just about like a lot of the test players on the international stage are there or thereabouts in terms like physically. But it's all about that little bit upstairs, and if they can convince themselves through these performances through here, and then also in the lead up to the World Cup, there's no reason why they can't go deep. But the one thing I guess is fantastic for world rugby at the moment is anyone can beat anyone. We're 8th in the world, and we had a shot at beating the number 1 in the world. We almost beat the French 2 weeks ago. So we saw Georgia beat Wales earlier on today. The World Rugby, the World Cup next year is completely open. But like I said, there's no reason why the Irish wouldn't be there deep in that tournament.
And every conversation we have, Alan, between now and the autumn of 2023 will be based with the World Cup in the back of our minds. From an Australian point of view, they came in tonight missing the likes of Quade Cooper, James O'Connor, Karevi. Another couple of lads picked up injuries tonight. They lost guys against France that couldn't feature tonight. So Australia might be a bit doom the gloom for them at the moment, but after a poor 2022 results-wise, there probably is, when he really samples at the call-out a day, for Dave Rennie and his coaching team, there are positives to take them through into that World Cup year. Yeah,
the players you mentioned that are missing, but also the injuries tonight didn't help them. I think, Ireland are missing a couple of frontliners in Sexton, Henshaw, James Lowe. Ian Henderson is someone they need to get back in the mix as well, to try and create a little bit more depth with that second row position. So it's interesting to kind of say, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to Australia, they seem to get it right when they need to at World Cups, and they've obviously a really good history in World Cups. We've never got beyond the quarter-final, but I don't think we're going to leave this November in the same kind of vein as 2018, where we were really excited about what the potential was in 2019. I think tonight is a little bit of a reset moment for Ireland. I think we're a couple of injuries away from being in a tough position. I don't think we have enough of depth in certain areas, but I think the confidence and the resilience that they're building, and I think they'll take a lot out of South Africa, the physicality. They had something like 21 phases again in the first half of that South African game that Ireland defended. Did something similar tonight against a powerful side as well. So I think the positives they can take out is the resilience they've shown. We haven't seen that spark. What we saw in New Zealand in that second and third test was outstanding. The confidence, the accuracy, the attacking rugby right across the board from the team was brilliant. We didn't see it in November, so I think nobody's going to get carried away. And look, we've got to kind of keep going, have a decent Six Nations, and not look too far ahead. Okay. At the end of the day, if we get out of the group, we're playing France and New Zealand. That in itself is a pretty daunting situation, but who knows? I think Andy Farrell's capped some players again in the November series, and he's capped a lot of players in the last couple of years. But I think they'll be pretty pleased to win the 3 games. Okay, well, listen, thanks to Alan for his company tonight. Great to have you with us tonight as well, Drew.
Thanks for having me.
We've an awful lot to look forward to in 2023, including the Six Nations, of course, which will be live on Virgin Media Television. Thanks to you for being with us over the last few weeks in this Autumn Nation series. We've had a really good time bringing you these 3 wins over South Africa, Fiji and Australia.